Hello everyone, it's Adam Ratliff with Adam So Fun. Welcome back to the channel. It's Friday, so it's time for a new video. And today we're gonna tackle some of those tough questions that I see oftentimes on Instagram or Facebook, mostly Facebook. I do want to say I see a lot of questions that get posted, and my first thought is, wow, if you took a class, you wouldn't be wasting the time. There are a lot of great educators. We have a really fantastic education team. And I know it's been crazy this past year. There's a lot of new owners that maybe didn't get all the classes and things that they thought they would be getting because of COVID. There are some that offer classes virtually. I try to post the ones that I see, and then as well as mine. Our classes are a great resource for you to learn how to use your Pro Stitcher or how to do certain things on the machine, and I'm not just saying that so you go up and, get into every class, but if you take a Pro Stitcher class, I know people who have had Pro Stitcher who take my Pro Stitcher class and are like, I would have never thought to use that button that way. So there's a lot of things, and even the stuff that we're going to cover today, most of that it gets covered in a class, and then you don't have to wait for responses and then get 100 responses for questions you might put out in the universe on Facebook or whatever. And then the other thing is you don't have to worry if those responses are correct. I read a lot of times where someone is posting a response to a question, or someone says, how do I do this? And then the response is totally incorrect. I mean, it happens all the time. And I want, me being an educator and knowing the correct way, I just want to say that information you gave them is not really going to work. But I also don't want to be mean. So I always try to post, if it's something I know is incorrect, I try to post the correct way to do it. But I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes. I just want everyone to successfully, navigate the world of Pro Stitcher. I hate to hear when someone hits a bar, and it's even worse when they followed the directions of someone else and that person didn't give them correct information and then they hit the bar, that kind of stuff. So if you can get your hands, or if you can get to a hands-on class, if you can get to a virtual class, the virtual classes are awesome. You don't have to leave your home and you have your machine right there. I know I do mine where you're working on your machine and stuff, and I can kind of see and help you out. But I digress. So we're gonna tackle some of those frequently asked questions that I see. I have some good news at the end of the video, so stick around and you'll see that. I have a sample. Because the first one we're going to talk about is loops on the back of your quilt. And, it's over here. So the first question I see a lot is loops on the back of your quilt. And there's two types of loops. There's this type, and I'll post a picture right here. And then there's really crazy bird nests. I don't have an example of that. I should have made one, but I didn't, so sorry. But this first type, when you get some little loops, this happens a lot of the time right after you oil. I don't know why it happens. I'm assuming some oil gets on the thread, makes things slick. But I'm looking at it, and this actually, I was teaching a class a few weeks ago, and this was part of my practice panel, or my practice fabric that I loaded up. And I had noticed I was running off. I always oil and then I stitch some. And I'll just stitch until I get these loops done. You're not going to be able to see them here. So again, I'll post the picture again. But you'll get these little loops in the back. And you'll notice in the picture that they just start to stop happening. And then after that, I went in and adjusted my tension because I needed to change my tension a little bit. But if you're going to oil, make sure, not if you are, when you oil, because you should be oiling, make sure that you're running off on a little practice piece of fabric or something off to the side. This actually, I think this is the one, I'm working on this quilt back here, and I have batting, or I have extra on the sides, but this client, she self-binds, so she's going to use those sides, so I can't just go and scribble off on the sides of her fabric because she's going to use that. That's fabric that she's going to use as a binding. So I have some super clamps. And so I have a set of super clamps. These are frame specific. So these are set for the gallery frame. And I can clamp a piece of this to my back bar and then a piece of it to my front bar. And this is what I use to kind of run that oil off whenever after I oil. I did just get some of these So Tight Magnum magnets. So they're little magnets instead of one big long strip. I haven't used them yet. I will report back what I think whenever I actually use them. They just came in the mail yesterday, but I might start using that. These are a little too big for, especially this quilt behind me is pretty big. So these are a little bit too long. They almost butt up against the quilt. So in this case, I could use those magnets, but I think those magnets might work perfect. I do love these, but those magnets might work really good for smaller pieces. But that's one of the questions. I'm getting loops in the back of my fabric. Like, what's going on? Now, if you're getting loops and it looks like a crazy bird nest down there, you're not in your tension discs. You need to go back up and make sure you are flossed between those discs. Some of those beautiful threads out there have a tendency to slide out of those discs. And it just, there's no tension up top, and it's just pulling everything to the back. So if you ever see that, grab right around your tension knob and pull up. If you feel a little slide, or even just pull your thread, if you can feel no tension on that thread, you're not in those discs, so you need to pull up and refloss those. So that is question number 1. Hooray! I think for the other ones, because we're going to talk about a few other things, but most of them are going to have to do with the Pro Stitcher. So I'm going to run over, or we're going to switch and we're going to record the computer screen. I'm just using Simulator because I have something on the frame right now. Before I get to the other few questions, let's talk a giveaway. I'm so excited to hit 2,000 fans. Thank you all for subscribing, or 2,000 subscribers. Thank you all for subscribing to my channel. I really do it for you all. I love when I wake up and someone sends me a picture and is like, I couldn't have done this without you, or I haven't had issues since we talked. I love all that stuff, and this is why I do it. But for hitting 2,000 subscribers, I am giving away 2 Fat Quarter bundles. These are Connecting Threads metallic tonals. That's right. One in the cool colorway, one in the warm colorway. I just bought a bunch of these because I'm getting ready to make a quilt, and I love the Connecting Threads fabrics. So how you can enter this is I'm going to post a picture of these on my Facebook page, because Facebook is the easiest way to get connected with everyone. And what you need to do is you need to link or tag a friend and say what you would do with your Fat Quarter bundle. This it starts noon on Friday Eastern, because that's when you're watching this video. I guess probably 12:10, because that's about how long I've been talking. And it's gonna end at 9 p.m. on Sunday Eastern time, because I go to bed early, and if I'm in bed by 9:01, it's a perfect night for me. So I will pull names at right after 9 o'clock on Sunday night and send you messages. Now, I leave on Tuesday to go teach for 2 weeks. I'm going to be in Texas. So if you don't respond to me by like Monday afternoon, you're going to have to wait to get your prize sent out until I get back. But I will message you on Facebook, so just make sure you can get messages. I'll put these right here so you can look at them. Like I said, I love Connecting Threads fabrics. These are printed on their Luxe fabric. It feels so nice. It just has a really nice hand touch. But yeah, I'm excited to give them away. Yeah. So I will post the photo right after I post the video, and you are going to tag a friend and comment what you might do with a Fat Quarter bundle. So let's get back into the other questions. I'll see you back at my computer screen in a second, everyone. All right, everyone, here we are in Pro Stitcher Simulator. And I know it's Pro Stitcher Simulator because my crosshairs are green. And I guess that could be the first topic that we're going to talk about today. Crosshairs. Crosshair color matters. And when your crosshairs are green, you are in sim mode. You are in simulator. Most of you might never see them green. You might not want to put your machines in simulator. I have never put my actual Pro Stitcher tablet in simulator, but when you run Pro Stitcher on a computer, it's always in simulator because it's simulating being connected to a machine. I know it's simulator because my crosshairs are green, and I have this S over by the motors. This stands for simulator. If you want to use Pro Stitcher, you need orange crosshairs, and that means you are in Pro Stitcher mode. You'll find that if you start doing more custom Pro Stitcher things, and you are maybe using Pro Stitcher and then switching to free motion and using Pro Stitcher, which is something I do a lot, you might have your crosshairs purple, and you go to run Pro Stitcher and you realize it doesn't work, and that's because you are not in Pro Stitcher mode. Because when you have purple crosshairs, you are in free motion. So purple is free motion, orange is Pro Stitcher, and green is sim. And I'll do a video about that, about, I was just in Pro Stitcher, or I was in free motion mode, but I thought I was in Pro Stitcher. What do I do next? Because you kind of have to move your designs and realign things. But that would actually make for a good video, so I'm making a note for a good video idea. So crosshairs. So ours are green. I just saw this question the other day on Facebook, and it was, I can't move my crosshairs. What do I do? I'm in simulator. Well, the problem with this is we don't have a machine. Because remember, the crosshairs, the center of the crosshairs is where our needle is. So we move our machine to move our crosshairs in our workspace. In this case, we can click the simulate button, and this simulates moving your machine around. So that's how you move your crosshairs. You have to have simulate selected, and you can move it around. And it's just like moving around your whole screen. So anytime you want to move these crosshairs, you have to have simulate selected. So that is question number 1. Check. Oh, I guess it's question number 2 because we already talked about oiling and having those loops on the back. Now I'm going to set up an area because I'm going to pretend I'm doing a point-to-point. Or not a point-to-point. I'm going to pretend I'm doing an edge-to-edge. So we'll say that this is somewhere like 37 by 45. I'm going to hit my refresh at the bottom, and here's my screen. So now I need to open a design. So I'm going to hit File, Open. And what do we notice here? These are all my designs. I'm in my design file, and nothing's coming up. My designs have disappeared. My life is over. Oh my gosh, what do I do? Where did all my designs go? Well, there's a reason this just happened. If I move this screen, if I move my screen down, do you see how it says I'm in the area tab, and that I selected file from my area tab? I'm not in file design open. I just hit file open. This happens a lot. This happens when I teach. What the Pro Stitcher is trying to do, it's looking for an area. It's not looking for a design file. So what do we need to do? I need to cancel out of this screen. Come back into my Pro Stitcher screen. I'm going to come over here to File. So we were Area File Open previously. I don't want that. I want to go to my File, Design Open. And now we can see all of our designs waiting to be used in our design files. So if you ever open a file and everything's disappeared, or go to open a file and everything's disappeared, just hit cancel and make sure you went to the right place to open it. I need a continuous line file and field of flowers. That one. And here's my field of flowers design. So I want to edge to edge this, and I'm not going to do this the usual way. I'm just going to have Pro Stitcher do everything for me. This is not how I usually set mine up, but that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about common questions. So I'm going to just repeat, and let's see if I can hit. All right, so I hit fill, and here's my design. And maybe I want to stretch this so that it stretches to the sides. And I can add one more, but then I'll stretch it so it fits inside my box. What do we notice here? There are the red and green dots. Now this means that there's a jump. Anytime there's a red and a green dot, it means there's a jump. Now what I see happen a lot is people on Facebook will be like, I have all these jumps, how do I get rid of them? But they've already went up and they've hit baseline. Once you hit baseline, you can't come to repeat and try to point this. It is grayed out. You've told baseline. You've told the Pro Stitcher that all of these designs, since this is 15 different designs, that they're all one piece and you want them exactly how you see them. So that's what baseline does. It takes like a snapshot of what currently is going on, and starts fresh from that point. So before we hit baseline, Pro Stitcher read this as 15 different designs. Once we hit baseline, it reads it as one. So when we hit baseline, we actually baselined these jumps. Now, what do we do now? I could recreate this, and this is one of the things that's when I set up designs, I always set up the size I want it, and it's really easy to recreate. A lot of people tend to just come over here and hit fit and or fill and stretch. And I'm sorry you can't see those. I'm not really sure. My icons got really big for some reason. I wonder if I do this. There we are. Fill and stretch. And if you fill and stretch it, you don't know how big those designs really are. But I'm going to undo. And see, it says undo baseline. And now I can use that point to point. So I can hit point to point to fix that. You'll notice that I did not get the black dots. And this is, I am running the beta version. So it's something they took out. We've asked them to put it back because it's a great visual to know that your design is running point to point. And a lot of us are used to seeing those dots. So I can shrink my gap now. There's my design. Everything looks great. And this is when I would baseline. So this is, I'm going back to modify and hitting baseline. So remember, if you baseline those starts and stops, and you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot to point, and you come back to point, don't forget to baseline after that. And this is actually the spot where I would go and save this design. So if I wanted to save this, I would go File, Save, and I save my edge-to-edge designs as a workspace just because they're easier for me to find. I could click Workspace and then save this to my thumb drive. So that was how the question was. I have these jumps. How do I get rid of them? You have to create the design without them. The other thing, if you were to, let me undo this a few things and get those jumps back. There we are. If I stitched this out and I had one row stitched and then I went back and recreated this, I'm going to click over there, and I went back to recreate this, and I'm going to zoom in. If I had already stitched this top row and then I go back, oh, you know what I can do? Let's see. Let's see if I can duplicate this. That works. This will be an easier visual of what I'm trying to say. So now I have the same, I have one field of flowers, and then I have a repeated field of flowers. That one is not the one I want. So I'm going to click Workspace. And then go to my Repeat tab. I should be able to point one of these. Oh, I'm on the wrong point to point. There we go. So I'm going to zoom in, and we're going to get a little bit of a headache. But if I had stitched out that first design and then came back in and stitched my second one, see how it shifted that second one just enough this is, I can actually see how big of a distance this is. Measure. So it's almost 3/4 of an inch away. So different parts of it are going to shift a little bit different because I had to shrink that gap between those. So just keep in mind, the rows might not necessarily line up between the fixed row and the original row, but if I zoom out, nobody's ever going to be able to tell the difference. So it's not something I would necessarily freak out about. I mean, I would fix it because I wouldn't want to wait for it to do all those jumps and that. But the first two rows might be off just a little bit. Nobody's looking at your quilting and saying, "Ooh, that row's off 3/4 of an inch." Especially something like this. It's not like it touches, so you are going to be fine. Nothing to worry about. But that is how to fix a point to point. And the last thing we're going to chat today about, and I'm going to close this design, close selected, and I'm just going to open this field of flowers, is the fact the other question. I know I opened my design, but I can't see it. Or I opened a design, but I don't know where the starts and stops are. Or I can't tell where my next row starts because I don't have any jumps. So that's going to take us over to the View tab. And the View tab's interesting. It's one that I always tell people, unless you know what you're doing, just don't touch it. Because what I see happen is people will tap on View. You get all of your different options up here. And they'll start hitting buttons, trying to figure out how to do something. And they start turning things on and turning things off. So when the person writes, I'm going to turn these rulers off because I don't need those. When I see the question that says, I opened a design and I can't see it. If I select design, right now it's selected. If I tap it, my design disappears. It's not deleted. It's still there. The design is still open in my workspace, but I can't see it. If I tap on workspace in my sidebar, I can see that I have an area and I can see that field of flowers design. I can come to my file tab and maybe I'm going to open this feather triangle. It's there. My field of flowers is still over here. Let me open a clover edge to edge. There's my clover edge to edge. I can select it and I can move it. I can't see it. If I tap on my workspace in my sidebar, I see that I have an area. I have a field of flowers design. I have this feather triangle. And I have a clover edge to edge. And I can't see anything because I turned it off in the View tab. So I'm going to click Design and that brings it back. If you don't have your start and end on, you can't see where these designs start and end. And if you don't have start and end turned on and you have design turned off, you can't see them at all. You see that they're here. You see that they're open on our workspace tab in the sidebar, but you just don't see anything. Same thing with area. You can have your area turned off so you can't see it. So I have all of this stuff in my workspace and I just can't see anything because the view is turned off. And again, people will come in here and start clicking buttons and turn all of this off and they don't understand what's going on and why it's not working. And it's all because you've turned the view off. The designs are still there. You still opened them. Everything is correct except for you turned off being able to see them. There's some other buttons in here where you can see design points and the rubber band and bounds. This is what I usually keep on. I have my scroll bar, although I don't ever use them, but they're there. My area, design, jumps, and start and end. So, like I said, I always tell people just stay out of the View tab. I show them what it does when I teach classes. So back to, if you take a class, you learn a lot of stuff. I show them what they do, and then I say, don't come in here. And a matter of fact, I think in the last class, someone had their area turned off, and another person that I taught in the last 2 weeks had their jumps turned off. So she had her jumps and her start and stop turned off, and didn't ever know where the design was starting. And especially with edge to edge, that gets kind of crazy because you have a new row. Like, where's that new row start? You can't see it. So, so those are just a few questions. I just wanted to go over a few that I had seen a lot in the last few weeks. If you have questions, pop them in the comments, and I will put it for my next frequently asked questions. Um, I have stuff coming down the pipeline. You know, always happy to give you the info. I'm going to switch back to the other camera, and we'll see you back here in a second. All right, everyone. I hope this helped you out and you learned something. These are just a few of the frequently asked questions that I see a lot on Facebook. Like I said, if you have questions, put them down in the comments. I'll usually respond if I can, but it might make a list of what to do in my next FAQ video. Remember, doing the giveaway, head over to Adam So Fun on Facebook. Make sure you are you like that one, thumbs up that page, and make sure you're following it, because then you get just like when you hit the bell icon on YouTube, you get notified when or you are more likely to see posts that come up. And I know that some people said that they didn't see the posts about my classes that I just recently did, my virtual classes. I do what I can. I post. I put them on my webpage. I post them on Instagram. So they're posted. I usually talk about them in a video. So I do everything I can to get it out there. So I can only do so much. And as always, I thank you so much for joining me. Adam So Fun everywhere, Facebook, Instagram. You're already on my YouTube. Good luck in the giveaway. If you do win, you have to tag me in when you decide to make it. I know that if you're like me, you get fat quarter bundles and you never use them because they look so nice when they're wrapped up. But yeah, see you all in the next video. And at the end of the day, it's just quilting. Bye, everyone.